Hey, how's it guys? How's it going? It's Derek, I'm here, and let's take a walk. So, you might not believe this. That actually might be posted on the YouTube channel for my church, which is Mountain View Lutheran Church, Las Vegas. There's a few online that you can find there, but sermons are public. And some of the Bible studies are as well, though I don't know if they're up to date. But you might not believe this. Guess what subject we're talking about in church right now? Revelations. Oh, I like good synchronicities. Synchronicities have lately become pretty popular, and there are plenty of channels referencing them. I like a lot of them, though I don't really see it the way that they do, but I like them anyway. There's a lot of paranormal channels talking about synchronicities. There are some disagreements with what I would say I agree with. Of course, there always are. I kind of fall more in line with Jung in synchronicities, what they are, what that means, than I do with the paranormal. Let's see. Oh, look at that. That's the moon out there. Beautiful. Anyway, a well moonlit night. Speaking of synchronicities, the paranormal, and you know, revelations. Spooky doopy. So, synchronicities, the way that I see them, and what I think Jung sort of intended, though I'm not as well read in Jung yet as I would like to be, is there's an outward stimulus that would happen that maybe we wouldn't recognize as important at the time, that future events will come to pass that will recognize will have a relationship to the previous event. The new event, if recognized, will feel important. Okay? A synchronicity, synchronizing, the pattern of reality revealing itself to you. So, why do I like that? Why is that cool? Well, it says a lot about what's going on in your mind. Something happens, and your subconscious collects the information. It keeps it, it holds it, and maybe not revealing itself to the conscious mind. And that later, when the second or third or fourth or however many chain of events will be connected happen, the subconscious releases the first event, if the first event can be recognized, releases the first event, and something reveals itself to be profound in pattern. Why is that cool then? Well, because your mind is deeper than the surface. Deeper. Remember what I was talking about in our first video, how a lot of people see themselves as a whole and total being. The figurehead is who they believe they are. A lot of people don't realize the deeper figures and beings within them. Now, you don't have to personify these aspects, but I like to, because it makes it easier to understand them. And your surface level consciousness is personified as the you, so why not personify the others? The cool thing is we get to be unique in our you-ness, but then share very similar archetypes with each other. All humans share them. Women will have the animus, men have the anima. We all have a shadow, and we carry the archetypes of the Joker, the mother, the devouring mother, and so on, deep within us. And we recognize them in stories. In my previous video, I talked about how reality reveals itself as story to us. The story has plots. Plots are the patterns. The synchronicities is our mind telling us, hey, pay attention. These are moments of what you might find in my Exodus videos you could call kairos, turning points, important moments where you could make the right decision or the wrong decision going forward. And it'll set you up down a different path. If you want to figure out what that path might be, then you want to be well steeped in stories and religious writings, because they have clues to these moments of kairos. They have clues to the importance of these plot points and where they end up going. Exodus, I talk about a few of them. I haven't finished it. I'll kind of wrap that up soon for you guys, so you can kind of see how the ascension up the mountain is the totality of the story. That's audacious to say. Not the totality, but will be the resolution of my way of putting the story together for you guys, which I got from Jonathan Pajot. I definitely recommend you check him out. He knows this stuff way better than I do. I am a student. I'm just a student who's sharing what he learns as he goes, because it helps me learn better, helps me keep better what I've absorbed. I have a weird anxiety that when I collect information, I become afraid that I'm going to lose it, and I have to constantly go over and over and over and over it again, which is a good thing. It helps me out, helps all people. Repetition is a great way of telling your mind that something that you're doing is important, and it should not just throw it down into the deep depths of the unconscious for the consciousness to forget forever and maybe never reveal again. Synchronicity reference there. But do it and then hold on to it. Keep it ready there at the surface, so that when the conscious says, hey, I need that information, the subconscious can toss it up like a good friend. State Farm is there. Okay. So, boy, that was a lot. I just had a boost of energy. My walks have been 5.6 miles, and I've just extended them. So now, when I'm done with this one, it'll be a full 8 mile. Palms are sweaty. Okay, so synchronicities, got that down. Oh yeah, so these paranormal channels see synchronicities as an outward force, which I understand why people see it that way. That's how a lot of people see God or reality. It's purely as an outward force that acts upon you, but you act upon reality. You have internal layers and encamped layers of understanding and ethics that drive you forward. And one of the ways of knowing is participatory, meaning, well, think of how a creature evolves. And you're going, whoa, we're all over the place. Would you just do like a line of Coke or something? No, just follow with me. Okay, think of how evolution works. A creature enacts upon the world through mechanical means. It has to find a way to obtain food, pull it to itself, make the food one with itself, throw away the food, for instance. It might do this through hunting, it might do this through gathering. It needs arms, it needs legs, or it needs tentacles, or it needs a beak, a mouth, it needs teeth. Whatever, it acts. And then it gets information brought back to it. That information is, let's say, downloaded, and through repetition influences the growth and change of that species over generations. The creature must act in the world will act upon the creature, and as the creature changes to become better or have a better fittedness to the world, it will evolve, let's say, thumbs or longer legs, or stand up, or bigger heads, or longer snouts, or whatever. And the creature acts on the world as well. We know that creatures have a profound effect on the plants, on the other animals. You know, it's a relationship, right? It's an ecosystem. So take that same kind of logic and apply it to something like the subconscious. It's not, you're not as science would kind of portray you. I don't mean sorry, that's too critical of science. Science is a good thing. I don't mean science, I mean, let's say, the nihilist proposition as a result of the feeling that one can get from the information that science delivers. As we're not just a consciousness floating in eternity in a useless, meaningless universe. We are embodied minds in a world, an environment. An environment is a sequence of arenas. Arenas like games. The game of hunting, the game of gathering, the game of mate finding, the game of playing games with one another, the game of socializing, whatever, right? Our subconscious, one of its great jobs, well, let's say the mind as a whole, because I don't know, I'm not a neuroscientist, so I can't, or a psychologist, I can't pinpoint it to one mechanic of the mind, but the mind as a whole is very good at storing and recognizing patterns. We recognize them in movies and music, like I said in some of my previous videos. We acknowledge them, we learn from them. I mean, one of the things we know is when people are reading a book, they become better at problem solving. When people listen to music, they become braver. There's a joke Jim Gaffigan has on one of his Netflix stand-up things. It's fucking hilarious. But he talks about the let me see how much battery I have for you guys. I have 18. Okay, so we might make it to half an hour. We might not. Okay, so the joke is sending the drummer boy out to a battlefield. Well, that's not the joke, but that's the subject of the joke. And you can see where that would go. But multiple reasons why we did that. One, rhythm. If you get everyone in step, then your feet or your army sounds louder as a synchronized military. Okay? The other reason is music makes us feel braver. Why? How could music do such a thing? Especially when we're in groups, similar to what I said about the Holy Spirit, is it makes us feel connected with one another. It unites the army. Now, when you're marching out to battle, you're not marching alone. You're with your brothers and sisters to your left and your right, depending on, what part of history you might be in if you fight with brothers and sisters. Okay, cool. So we recognize patterns. I believe that synchronicities is just your subconscious's way of saying, we've reached that moment, like I said, that kairos. Pay attention. And if you know your stories, if you know your patterns, you have a better chance of making the correct decision. The good news is there might be more than one correct decision. You might get close to something good. It might not be perfect, but it's at least better than fucking the whole thing up, right? So that's cool. And that's why I like synchronicities. But what does that have to do with revelations? Well, a lot of people have got it wrong. Revelations. Why? Well, I don't know if you know this or not, but most people have not read the Bible of any version. Most people haven't, and they don't know the stories. That's why things like 666 completely lose their meaning. 666. It's got references in the Old Testament. The mark of the beast on the hand or the head has more to do with a marking that I believe it was, I might have this wrong, but that the Gentiles would practice or whatever. But it is not, I promise you, a barcode or a microchip that's going to be inserted into your hand or your head or whatever. It's not that. That's the spewings of cuckoos trying to create cults out of pre-existing religions, like modern cult. People also get the beast wrong. You know, the seven-headed beast. Yes, it has something to do with the 7 hills of Rome, you know, but is it only? No. See, the whole book, there's camps of people who believe that the book has more to do with the past and things that have already, you know, come and gone, like Nero, you know, as one of the nations, or being one of the figureheads of one of the nations and his whole resurrection thing or whatever, which it does, it is in reference to. And then some camps of people think it has only to do with things yet to come, and that they're looking for these moments to happen within history that's gonna, you know, be these signs, these marker points of the coming apocalypse. And that's not really right either. That's not totally correct. What it is a revealing of symbols, signs, patterns. Throughout all of history and history yet to come, you can find things that are revelation-like. And I'm sorry, I old habit, I say revelations a lot. That's not correct. There is no revelations, just revelation. So, old habits die hard, with a vengeance. So, revelation is more of, well, one, it was Jesus coming and telling John he had to write write these letters to the 7 nations, and he saw prophecy, or he is a prophet, prophecies, whatever. Prophecies meaning God speaking through a person. He saw these things, information. He was supposed to send it off to these 7 nations who were, some were indifferent, some were indifferent because of their position of wealth. Some were acting very naughty, and the true believers within those 7 churches, the 7 nation churches in the East, were being cast aside, persecuted, mistreated, because of, well, obviously there was a disconnect. So these things he's writing down at the time would be things yet to come, right? But then he references Babylon, which had already come and passed. The persecution of Christians under Nero already come and passed. So why would he reference them then? Because he's trying to show that it's a message saying, look, these things are symbolic, and they point to the way that nature unfolds. And pay attention, because stuff can get very messy, right? When nations act as the true power, as leaders act like the sovereign over the people and have nothing above them, no God, nothing to answer to, then things get bad. Then, of course, there's also the message of what do we do about this? And, well, he is given the task of telling the Christians that their task is to speak the word of God and, give them their mission. So whenever you're reading the news, or you hear a cuckoo using the book of Revelation as a way to sell their Apple product or whatever is going on, you don't pay no mind. The best way to learn it is to read the word itself. Read Revelation. It might be difficult to understand. There's different variations. There's different Bible studies out there that can help you out, some better than others. And then, of course, there's always the writings of church fathers and that sort of thing that are out there. And like I said, look up Peugeot or whoever else. There's a lot of good videos out there that talk about Revelation and explain it. There was this version of Christianity that popped up. I don't know much about it, but definitely caught my interest. That it has, I forget, I think it comes out of China, but there are these VHS tapes. I came across one on Red Letter Media. You should check out that channel if you haven't. It has more to do with movies. It's not going to be stuff like this, but they watched a VHS from these folks, and it's trying to scare people with the barcodes. It's funny to watch because they're the world's gonna end, blah 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 blah, and it didn't. So kind of going back to what I was talking about in one of my previous videos, I think the second video, a little bit of the first two. I don't listen to people who pretend that they have the message for the ending, the apocalypse. By the way, apocalypse meaning more of like the history, things to come, the totality of it, the ending, of course, as God would see it, I guess. Apocalypse, right? Doesn't just point to. It doesn't just point to like a genre of, let's say, movies or video games. So let's see where we're at now. This battery. I'm really enjoying this train of thought that I'm on. I'm really glad I get to share it with you guys. There's a lot of talk right now on this subject from cuckoos trying to connect COVID and political struggles around the globe with Revelation. Yes, you're going to find connections, but like I said, those connections are more Revelation-like. A thing might be beast-like or dragon-like, or like what is revealed in the bowls, or what takes place after the trumpet woes, right? That's just because, like I said, it points. The book is symbolic. It points to the way reality unfolds itself, and it's just saying recognize it. Pay attention. If you see these sorts of things, expect these kinds of outcomes. Yeah, the world will more than likely, it's going to be, right, engulfed by the sun, right? That's the scientific prediction. Up until that moment, Earth will be fine. Like George Carlin said, it's not the world that is ending. It would be the human species that would come to an end. And maybe it's within our nature, and we're predestined to kill ourselves. I don't sit around crying and screaming at people because of things like global warming or some supposed civil war. It's useless. I mean, look how many people fly around in pollution spewing jets and send their message on polluting cell phones. It's like, come on. If you're gonna scream and squeal at everyone else in the world, take a look at yourself and your own carbon footprint. Fix yourself before you come being annoying to the rest of us. Greta. People following a child who flies around polluting the world. Give me a break. Give me a fucking break. If you're gonna be a hypocrite, scale it down. You won't be so depressed and lost and angry if you scale down your hypocrisies. We're all sinners. We all fuck up. Mitigate it. You know? Scale down your fuck ups. Because the bigger you get and the more you point fingers, the more people are going to be able to be motivated to find the skeletons in your closet. Now look at Hollywood right now. Right? Those that talk out, and not just Hollywood either, just public figures in general. Look at what happened with the Cuomo brothers, pointing their judgmental finger at the rest of us, turn out to be a little rapey themselves, right? Sexual assault is not a joke, and the loudest, let's say, he who smelt it dealt it, okay? There's some things that just remain true forever, and I love that about the world. So let's be humble, let's love one another, right? I want to help keep the planet clean myself, but I have to do it in my way, and I'm not going to scream at you to do it my way. Just try to do it together. Things will unfold. Humanity has to heal together. So, learn the signs and symbols. Learn them, understand them, try to better yourself. Be kind to one another, no matter what your political beliefs are. Be kind, discuss. Logos. Jesus Christ was the logos. Dialogue. Words are connected. Look into it. You might like what you find. So, love your brother and sister, that whole thing. Engage in dialogue. There's nothing worse than being in a vacuum of any kind, a theological vacuum. We got enough to learn from one another, no matter what that background is. Like, for instance, we were having that discussion the other day about, I was talking about the role that a liberal could play and a conservative. It's not criticism. Those roles balance each other out. So definitely keep, lines of dialogue open. It'll be just for everyone's benefit if you did. Hey, how's it going? There's the roles that we can play and balance out are worthwhile if we created a singular nation of one idea, aside from one another, or without one another, we would run into problems. Like, for instance, oftentimes groups of, and I'll pick on my own kind of backing, because I do tend to lean more conservative or libertarian, but the arguments tend to be heartless and forget humanity. And there's one thing that liberals don't tend to do is that they tend to have bleeding hearts, and that's a good balance to the cold analytical side. And that's funny because it's sort of on the opposite, but conservatives tend to be religious, and the religious tend to criticize pure analysis type thinking, you know, that injects the mystic. And so there's a balance, you know, it's the yin and yang. So open up dialogues. All right, guys, I'm home, so I'm going to end the video here. I love you all. We reached the half-hour mark. Hope to see you again. Peace out. It's been good. Bye.